feel like there's different levels to being an anime fan. Like, when you first start off, everything just looks so good. You may have even only started off, you got one show under your belt. Maybe you watched, like, I don't know, Naruto, or One Piece, or Dragon Ball Z, and you just started off. And everything just looks like, oh my god, this is amazing. And in fact, most of the time, your first 10, 20 shows, you're gonna feel like you've seen the greatest things of all time. But then as you continue on, because I feel like, and maybe this might not even be 100% accurate, because I guess coming from somebody like myself, right? Because just think about it for a second. I have a very unique experience as an anime fan, right? Most people that are into anime and manga don't go on to make, whether it be 5-minute, 10-minute, 20-minute, 30-minute increment videos every day, or damn near every day for years and years, a decade plus, talking about anime and manga, in particular, dissecting it. You know what I'm saying? Like, getting to the root of the plot and, you know, finding all the foibles and stuff like that. So maybe this is more so a unique insight. Not to say that there aren't people that know more than me about anime and manga. There's people that's been watching and reading, you know, twice, 3 times as long as me in the fandom. You know, there's people that they've been 20, 30, 40 years. So by no means am I trying to say that I'm the expert. Every day I still find something new. But I will definitely say, in terms of from my perspective, that it almost feels like you reach a certain point where it's like the final level of being an anime manga fan, or the final level of fandom, so to speak, where after a certain point, majority of the shows you watch, majority of things that you read, there's a certain level of predictability to things. Now, I'm not saying that everything, I'm not saying that the major plot twists are always predictable. A lot of the times I don't get them right. So by no means am I saying that I have some sort of clairvoyant power of being able to see everything that's going to happen all the time. But there's definitely a certain level of kind of knowing, for the most part, like, okay, this is leading to this, and it's going to go a couple of different ways. And this could even probably be applied to different narratives. Hell, it might even go with gaming and stuff like that. If you're a hardcore gamer, I'd imagine after a certain point you played a million Call of Duties, you played a bunch of, you know, platformers, whatever it is, you might get to that same point of feeling like this is the final level, dogs. You know what I'm saying? I've kind of reached the mountaintop where, you know, I've seen the greatest of greats for the most part, and I've read the greatest of greats for the most part, from the Vagabonds and Berserks to the Villain Sagas to, you name it, Attack on Titans, even though people that ending though, but that's a different topic for a different video, different discussion. It kind of gets to a point like, wow, you sometimes even question, like, do I continue on? Do I keep on watching and keep on reading? Because it gets to a fine line of not even necessarily the predictability of it, but just the immersion of the content. Like, that's why you see even kids are screaming like, no, not the final level. But no, on some real shit, I lost my train of thought. But for like the last maybe half a year or so, not even half a year, I don't want to say that far, but last maybe 3-4 months at the very least, I've kind of somewhat taken a leave of absence from watching anime. You know, I remember when I first started off, it was as follows, minus the late 90s, early 2000s, where a lot of people, you know, millennials, so to speak, we have the same story where, not even just millennials, but a lot of people, we started with either Dragon Ball Z or, you know, the Sailor Moons, you know, that whole early Toonami era and whatnot. And a lot of us, we didn't know the hell it was. We just saw, yo, Dragon Ball Z's lit. You know what I'm saying? Dragon Ball Z's fire, or whatever show we was into, Bo, if that was your thing. But like myself, I didn't even know what the hell anime was. I used to say anime and manga when I would read on forums about this shit. So, you know, when I first started really getting into anime, I was more so a dub guy. I was more so like, yo, I'm just only watching this in English because I still had that very silly and ridiculous mentality of, I ain't trying to read shit, bro. I don't give a fuck, like, who's reading out here, you know what I'm saying? So eventually, probably, it was not that long into my anime fandom journey, because it was, you know, steps, again, different levels. At some given point, people kept on talking about, like, yo, the seasonal anime is lit, dog. This shit is fire. So I started getting into seasonal anime watching in subtitle because there was no dubs. Not like what it is now, where you'll damn near, you know, 2 or 3 weeks into hearing about a show, you have the option of checking out the English dub. That wasn't afforded to us at the time. So we hear about a really popping show and everybody's talking about it. We don't have the luxury of going, I guess, and hey, we're gonna go watch dub. So eventually, at some given point, I went from a strictly dub watcher, watching for the most part everything in English dub, and then I started checking out sub. I started checking out, like, okay, yo, this seasonal anime is fire. Shout out to seasonal anime, man. I've been watching seasonal anime for over a decade now. And then, like, I would dabble in reading manga, like, you know, the Naruto's, Bleach, and stuff like that. But I really wasn't all that passionate about it. Like, I made a post on Twitter talking about it, but it was about like a 90-10 in terms of anime and manga. It was like I was into anime 90%, and then there was that little twinkling 10-piece, so to speak, of, yeah, dog, I rock with manga too, but it was all anime. And you could argue, you know, responsibilities change. You know, I was pretty much fresh out of high school when I really got into this stuff. So, you know, responsibilities change. You don't have as much time as time marches on and stuff like that. But I find myself, you know, all these years later, where it's pretty much the opposite, where it's 90% manga. You already know everything we cover on Winner Take All every Sunday, hopefully 6 p.m. EST. Sometimes that might change depending on what's going on, and when there's chapters, of course, to talk about, whatever. But, you know, it's really a lot more convenient to check out manga. Oftentimes, you know, I've learned the golden rule. Well, it ain't my golden rule, but one of the golden rules of the manga is always better. Like, there's the exceptions. Yu Yu Hakusho, I will always say anime over manga, but majority of the times the manga is better anyway. So I always look at it like, yo, dog, I'll just get a jump start, and when the anime comes out, you know, I'll check it out then, but I'm gonna read the manga. Like, that's one of my, at this point where I'm at with it, it's like 90% of, I'm gonna just roll with manga. Anime can wait. And it almost feels like, is this the final level? Because there's a lot of people, and you let me know if you're one of them, that are the same way, that they tell me the exact same thing. Dog, I started off, I'm watching 7 shows a season, I'm watching 50 anime a year, and they're like, yo, I don't even watch anime no more. Now, granted, I'm always watch anime. Never forget, that is truly the golden rule. It is always and will always be anime and manga for life. And maybe when I'm at a different point in my life and things is different, it might change up. But it almost feels like the levels to this fandom, and again, mine is magnified because I've probably anime and manga fanned out more than most people in the world, is like you start to shift gears, so to speak. You start to look at, well, you know, this is going to take 24 minutes to watch the anime episode. Check out the manga. Now, again, there's the exceptions when a seasonal comes through that is unavoidable and I'm really excited about. You know, a new Demon Slayer season, Attack on Titan final season. You know, there's the occasions when Boruto is back on the shits with like really hype stuff. If Black Clover anime ever came back, Jujutsu Kaisen, those seasonal anime, the ones that are unavoidable that I really love, Vinland Saga, you know, I'm gonna peep. But for the most part, especially this year, honestly, it really brought me to a different state of, man, I'm more so a manga fan now than I am an anime fan. And even with the manga, oftentimes I'll be like, you know, I get sometimes a little less enthusiastic than I was back in the day. Back in the day, Naruto and Sasuke back on screen, I'm screaming. You know what I'm saying? It takes a lot more to wow me, to make me go, holy shit. You know, it's those plot twists that really I didn't see it coming 100 million years. I wouldn't have saw it coming. Those are the moments that I cherish. And, you know, the final level of anime, not only all of that, but it's also how you take it in. Because, you know, I could tell you up and down, I've seen it a million times where we see people that they watch these great anime with these beautiful lessons about how to be a good person, and it's never applied. Not that I'm an angel by any means. I'm not a perfect person, never claimed to be. But ultimately, I think the final level of being an anime fan is taking everything that you've absorbed in and applying it the best way possible as a person. To be able to look back and be in situations, and whether you joke about it, whether you cringe about it, just look back and say, holy shit, I became this person because I learned how to never give up, or I learned how to face my fears even when shit is scary. The final level of being an anime fan is, in my opinion, being a good person. Also, going outside. I had to throw that one in there. Yeah, welcome to my little personal time. This is my long ass walks that I take all over the place, wherever the walk takes me. But yeah, let me know your journey being an anime fan, where you started, where you at with it right now. You're more anime, more manga, why, how much you watched, and I'm gonna get out of here. Have an awesome one.
I have a dream, alone in my room as I sit with the tea. Couldn't possibly think what I often see, and you don't even know how I often blink. Lights be flashing and looking at me, such an odd unique, yet I'm so unique and you're looking at me. If the walls could talk, they would probably read me, and I'd probably say, bitch, get the fuck off me.